and I will hit you with some random questions. The order I will share with you here in a second. Mike Huther is up first. And just, again, because we are unsophisticated in the political realm, we're just going to do these questions. If you have thoughts that you want to ask these gentlemen, I invite you to come up to them one-on-one. And that's mostly to keep things moving because we know that the folks here are places to be tonight. We just want to encourage you to get up close and personal. Is that all right? And so with each of these responses, we have, what, 2.5 minutes, right? Yeah, let's keep going. So first up, Mike Huther. Mike, here's our first random question of the night. Gentlemen, remember, you get to hit any of these in round 2, okay? How important is a green economy to Sioux Falls' future? And how should sustainability fit into our economic development strategy as a city?
As I said earlier, this is a topic that is important to me. I've got 25 years of business experience. I have been involved in growing things, developing things, making them more efficient, more productive, and yes, ultimately more profitable. Now, how do you take efforts, whether to make things green, to help things become cleaner, how do you do that in the spirit of Sioux Falls and South Dakota and ultimately create economic development opportunities with it? This wasn't a setup, but before I announced I was going to run for mayor, I was asked to fill out something for Sioux Falls Business News. And in it, they asked me a question. They said, hey, what's the best and worst thing about Sioux Falls? I wrote, Sioux Falls is a success comes in cans, not in cannots type of city. Our citizens demand more, and more importantly, they expend the effort to make it happen. However, on the other side, I really do not like the wind in Sioux Falls. We should be making money and creating jobs from it. However, South Dakota is way behind in this effort. So is Sioux Falls. With solid leadership, citizen involvement, and vision, we are capable of so much more. Folks, Sioux Falls and South Dakota are light years behind the rest of the country when it comes to creating economic development. We have some people in the audience that are doing their best to change that, but we are so far behind. We have some of the most wind in this entire country, and we're not taking advantage of it. There's more that can be done, and I look forward to the opportunity to making that happen here. We can make money, we can create jobs, we will.
Where's the other one?
Let's see, Bill actually is next. You actually lined up. Okay, it took me a second. They're actually in the proper order here, but it was random, I promise. Cheers. Many cities offer sustainability incentives to their residents in the form of rebates for things like efficient appliances, solar panels, rain barrels, or compost bins, but also impose fees on the wasteful things like plastic bags, styrofoam, lawn watering, and so forth. What ideas would you bring to City Hall to save resources and reduce our impact on the environment?
That's a great question. I think the first thing that I would bring to City Hall is to use the bully pulpit that comes with the mayor's office to talk about issues like you just raised. You know, every political figure, particularly in the executive branch, be it a mayor, be it a governor, be it a president, has the opportunity to engage in the act of public education and use the bully pulpit of their office to talk to people about issues of sustainability, issues of going green. It's an advantage to that office that few others have. And so that is probably the first thing that I would do. I would take a very serious look at incentives. I would take a very serious look at penalties. But I would do it cautiously. At this time, we are facing a very difficult economy, and I think we have to recognize that. And before we started to impose additional fees or penalties or incentives, which could cost the taxpayer, City Hall some money, I think we just have to proceed very cautiously. But long term, I think that there's a real opportunity in our city to do a much better job in protecting our environment, making it more green, and leading by example, making sure that city buildings are energy efficient, making sure that city buildings are using the latest technology in terms of heating and air conditioning and lighting. Looking at our public transportation system and going to maybe smaller buses, more fuel-efficient buses, using maybe natural gas rather than gasoline or diesel. Doing some of that with some of our other vehicles as well. Making sure, for example, that our streets are fixed. Because every time you have a street or a city with a pothole problem that we're having, we're causing problems for cars. They're out of alignment. When they're out of alignment, they're more fuel efficient. That costs you more money, and it adds to the environmental degradation. Same way with streetlights. When they're not properly timed, we're having unnecessary delays, and that adds to the environmental problems. And my time's up. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Kermit, within the last 2 years, the city started its sustainability program called the Leading Green Initiative. Hired a full-time sustainability coordinator and became a founding partner in the nonprofit Sioux Falls Green Project. As mayor, how will you leverage these or other green initiatives, and why?
Well, when it comes to the city of Sioux Falls, as pointed out correctly, we are taking more part in sustainability issues here in Sioux Falls. I think that as mayor, I think the most important thing, as already mentioned, that we can be out there advocating these different sustainability issues. But when it comes to sustainability, we also should try to encourage businessmen to think in terms of, let's go green, and how we can make money off of going green. Last spring, I was in Portland, Oregon, and I was at the first green conference sponsored by the National League of Cities. And I went to a number of sessions and where they talked about, going green. You don't necessarily have to spend a lot of money to go green, and then in the process, it takes a long time to get your money back. No, there are a lot of things you can do to go green, and then at the same time, be profitable. I remember one session dealt with the issue of trees. And I was really impressed with that because the session pointed out that, the more trees that a city has, well, the less heat a city has. The less hot or warm a city is. So when you have a city that is, full of concrete pavement and asphalt without many trees, well, they're going to be using the air conditioning more. We're going to be spending more money. So that's one thing I came away with, at least in regard to trees, is that we need more trees in Sioux Falls because we can actually save money by having more trees. Also, by having more trees in Sioux Falls, we can deal with issues of runoff a lot better. We might not have to have as many reservoirs where water goes after a storm. So that's what we should be focusing on, is having sustainability that pays.